And that's what I think the enjoyable thing about art is, that it pushes this understanding that we already have of what is visually normal or acceptable or possible, and it kind of pushes the outer boundary. If you imagine your sort of knowledge as a bubble, put someone in the bubble and they're pushing it outwards, so they're just trying to see if there's something more. If you do something completely outside of that bubble, people don't understand it. It's too much. But if you kind of push outside the bubble, you're already in the bubble, so you kind of get a little bit more. But it's, this guy, David Hockney, a lot of his work, it's a bit distortive. So it's realistic in the sense that you know exactly what it's portraying. It's not Mondrian, it's not squares, it's not dots just for the hell of dots. And it's not Jackson Pollock, who just sort of sprayed paint everywhere. David Hockney is very realistic because you know what it is, but it's not real. He's kind of messing with it, So his most famous work, I don't want to get to actually, is on this, his biggest splash. You'll see what I'm going to say on that. So there's that kind of element to it. And it is because it is. So anyway, let's get into it now. I'm sure this has been 5 minutes already. I'm sorry about that. I'll try and keep it below 8 minutes, I suppose. All right, so David Hockney, for those of you who don't know, looks like this now. He used to look like this. Oh, googly eyes. He's British. British, yeah. He's very prolific. And I think this is a really standout quality which actually reflects his work. He's versatile. That means he can do lots of different stuff. And he has done lots of different stuff. He's a modern man. That's my input. I really appreciate his willingness to bend his styles and do something new. So in the most literal way, I suppose it's his taking on of technology and using iPads and technology like that to do works of art and also to display them. Strange. And that's a bit of a weird thing to say in itself. But I mean that in the sense that the stuff he does, it's a bit weird. And that's good, that's nice. Because why would we want to look at paintings that are completely normal? That'd be quite boring, I'd imagine. And a little reminder, or perhaps a warning disclaimer, the stuff that I'm saying here is not at all an attempt to have an overview of his career or his opus. It's not. It's to show my opinion. And I'm doing these videos because I want it to be okay to have a partial view of art, or like a partial understanding of something. You don't have to understand everything to have a comment or to be able to feel like you own it or you're part of it. You can just pop into the exhibition and you can understand 5%, or you can understand 1%, or you can understand nothing. No one has an ownership of what you think. So you can have your opinion and no one can tread on you. And that's kind of what I want to give across, because I wasn't professionally trained, I haven't done an art history degree, but I feel like I have an understanding of art and I'm willing to express that and share it. And there we go. Okay, so this is his best known piece, I would say. Biggest splash. A few comments here. The first thing that comes out, and I think if you're looking at any work of art, this is a good sort of rule of thumb or a checklist to go through quickly. So what do you see? Like, what's the instant thing that happens? I would say here there's a few things. It's the colour. So it's very colourful. I think you'll agree with that. There are also these kind of rigid lines here, which create a kind of pattern. So you've got the colours and the shapes create a pattern. That's the second thing. I won't do too wild on this. I'll just say something else. And so you've got this here, the actual splash. It's very, very different from the stuff that's going on around it. So that creates interest. And I'm going to stop there. And that's just that is just a little example of how you don't have to say everything. I'm not decoding anything. I didn't tell you anything you don't know. Because after all, what I can tell you about this piece of art, you can also tell me, because it's literally right there in front of you. I'm not going to show you what's behind the painting. I don't know how he did this. I don't know what he was thinking that day. I don't know who was texting him when he decided to paint this. I don't know about his past. All I know is what's in front of me, and that's what I think is the most immediate and probably obviously the most personal thing you can get from art. So there we go. All right, so straight into this exhibition. He's got the Royal Academy at the moment. It might have finished. I don't know. I went there about a month ago, and I got something from it. So I just want to quickly run you through what I thought it was all about. And again, not an overview, just three things. I've done three things to keep it sort of bite-sized. So here we go. First thing, I think it's lively. Again, I'm saying just what comes into my head. Look at this blue. It's crazy. This green ground is boom. It hits you. There's a whole room of these. I think there's like 80 or something. And you're in this room surrounded by this like splash of colour. All these, real bold rectangles of colour which jump out at you. Secondly, what I've already said, the patterns. I think if you look at here, there's like an enjoyment. Mark making, keep that logged in your head. That's a really good term. There's a lot of enjoyment about mark making. So you'll see patterns come out. If you can, I don't think you can zoom in. Let's try. Nope. If you see here, there's patterns, and that's just fun in itself. Nothing more than that. The delivery. He's hitting these lines very quickly and very joyfully and youthfully. There is a slight caveat to that. I do think also there is a carefulness to this. Again, he is pretty old. I'm going to guess he's like 70, 74 probably. So there's also a care and a delicacy and a fragility, but also youthfulness. Am I getting too wanky because I'm saying it's youthful and old? I don't know, you can decide. The demeanour. I think the demeanour of the person is very telling. What I like about this is that David Hockney doesn't try and push himself on you. He's not showing you these virtuoso lines. He's just letting the person be there and therefore be in front of you. And his input as an artist, as in, yoo-hoo, look at me, look at the paintwork. All he's doing is just these patterns and the bright colours. He's not showing you really rosy cheeks and really dark shadow behind the head and these eyes that pop out at you. He's not going over the top. He's just keeping it real. David Hockney keeps it real. And I like that. I really like that. It's just like, here it is. Here's a work of art. Do with it what you will. And I hope I'll come back. No, I won't. I'll say it now. A quote that sticks with me is a guy from the Arcade Fire says this. He made a mistake in his song. And he says, don't worry about it. It's just music. Similarly with this, I think it's just art. Don't worry about it too much. Personality, I think the personality comes through because the artist tries to disappear. He doesn't want his sort of brush strokes or his style or the composition to be too clever. Look at me, I did this, I did that. It's not like that. It's just like, boom, here they are. And so this is a repeat of all number one things. This is probably more obvious in terms of the patterns. And you see the two contrasting styles of seating. Because it actually turns out, I do know this, I didn't work it out myself, well I didn't know. He let the models come in and just sit down as they were. And I see a lot of portrait artists, they go, okay, look, they touch the chin, they go down, up. Okay, look over there, now think of Cameron Diaz, and then everyone ends up looking like this. So he hasn't done that. Okay, number two. The second factor I think is interesting about his work in general and also with this exhibition is that the work is disorientating. So as I said before, it's about creating a new space and making you feel something slightly different, not too different because that'll be freaky, but something a little bit different, like, oh, he's sort of nudging you or pushing you a bit you feel a bit uncomfortable with. So he does that with the pose. I mean, look at this dude. You very rarely see people in paintings in this position. So it's kind of new. Ooh, exciting. The delivery again. All right, I'm back. Apologies for that. It cut out, basically, as you probably worked out. Okay, so what I like about his work, the second big thing that I like about his work is it's disorientating. So the poses, as I've already said, I think, on the video, so I won't go through that. Delivery of the lines, it's loose and it's energetic. There's a caveat to that, which is possibly a bit confusing, which is that I also think there is a kind of care and a softness to them at the same time, which is more in alignment with, you know, his age. He is getting on a little bit, so that's kind of what you'd expect. But there's this kind of weird tension between it being lively and colourful and the lines being very quickly delivered. And you know, the shoes, just painted and they're really well done, with not that much thinking, which is, I think, the kind of confidence you get with youth in, I don't know, as a generalisation. The repetitiveness, this is something else. It's rare you see something such as portraits being so repetitive in their composition and their kind of feel like this. You've got the colour in the background, which is uniform, I'd say, more or less. I think some of the grounds are different colours-ish, but you know, you get the idea, it's pretty similar. So having that repetitiveness is disorientating in a way because it's unusual. You don't usually see that. And I like that. He's just kind of recarving his corner of what he believes is relevant or of interest when it comes to drawing this kind of work. And I keep going back to it. I think the idea of art, it's partial. It doesn't need to complete everything. It's not a pure reflection of life. It doesn't answer the big questions in a direct way anyway. But it does help us in small ways. It helps us in small ways to see things and understand things and feel things, which gives us, like, these are like bullets in the arsenal. You know, you're not being given a tank when you learn something from art. You're not destroying it all. You're not completing anything. You're just getting little tastes, like little bits and bobs, which create a colourful palette of your understanding of life and who you are and how you feel and what things are around you. So yeah, it's very partial. Partial is a good word. I like that word. I'm going to keep that. As in, it's only a bit. It's piecemeal. We don't have to be trying too hard to achieve something through it. The subject matter, it's just his mates. You know, look at this guy. You know, old Bob Tinky just came in. He plonked himself down. He's had a hard day at the office. And he's like, "Do you want me to do a pose or anything?" Dave Hockney says, "No problem." He doesn't pose. He just looks like that. I like that. That's kind of fun. This next bit, it's playful and it's full of life, because you don't have the artist trying to overbear and show you something. Look at how beautifully I paint this, as I was saying before, I think. You've just got the personality of the subjects just coming through. They're just there. They're like that. If you don't like it, then move along. It is what it is. And it's personal. So you're getting a personal insight into his life. Number 3, the third point of interest, in my personal view, is the prolificness, if that is a word. I think you can feel that through the works. There's so much energy in them. The colour, the patterns he's created, the sort of the position they're in, the newness and the subject matter and the approach. There's a lot of energy behind that. And the fact that there are 80 of them creates this really kind of, you can kind of absorb and feel the fact that he's put all this energy into the work, and you go away with that energy. You feel like, it's almost like he's opened up your ear and squirted paint in it or something. And you walk around feeling like, yeah, I get it. I got the colours and and you feel the life of it, which is fantastic. You know, for an artist to be able to give you that through his work is a real kind of, I don't want to say the word gift. It's a bit cheesy. It's a great thing to be able to experience and absorb. You know, you get the bloody energy. It's rare and it's great. The personality of the artist comes through a little bit. I mean, I have said at the very beginning of this video that it's not about the personality or like the childhood or the background of the artist. But I think a little bit of that can creep in. Similarly with Picasso, they say, oh, I just love the art. I think that's bullshit. I think people love the personality and the brand. There is a brand here. The dude who made these is David Hockney, and there's that enjoyment of that as well. Like, this is an old dude who painted A Bigger Splash, and he's like 70, but he's still doing this. That is cool. And I think you absorb that coolness when you're there. You like it. One likes it. It's inspiring. As I've already said, I think that's a great thing to take away from it. And it's partial. To recap the idea that I did say partial. Yeah, it does. It's just a bit. If you don't like it, that's okay. Go home, have some food, have a walk in the park. All right, in rounding out, I just want to say thank you for watching, listening. It's great. I wanted to leave you with a thought that, you know, to remind you, this is my views, my perspective, my partial perspective of my experience of the exhibition. And so therefore I wanted to leave you with something which overlaps me with Hockney, something that I just recently heard actually. He said it's all about looking. And I think as a takeaway, there's one thing to take away from this, maybe it should be this, I don't know, there's probably other things of equal importance maybe. But yeah, I think this is something I will keep going back to. The art is about looking. You are using your eyes. That's the main sense you use when you're looking at visual art like this. And to go back to his distortion effects on the world around him, he's playing with what you're looking at. And so when you're looking, you're tweaking it, and it's invigorating that process. You're not there with the same lens all the time. You want to be able to clip in new lenses. Maybe one day you like this, and because it's really colourful and all these patterns that you enjoy. Maybe another day you want to see things in black and white. Maybe another day you want to see things in squares. And to have that array of abilities to see life through, that's great. But after all this is helping us arm ourselves visually, which is a kind of key to understanding other things in life. Yeah, I just really like that quote, and I think it's something to go away with, and I'll try and remember that. It's all about looking. Thank you for watching. Enjoy my stuff. I've got a load of links in the description box below. I've got a free ebook. I mean, can't say poo to that, whatever the phrase is. So go onto my site. It's all in the description. Thanks for watching. If you want any of these, me to review a particular artist or artwork, put it in the comments. I know you won't do it, but I need to say this because one of you might one day. And I hope to read your comments.